Well, welcome back again to Brands Hatch for the stream coverage, as well as everybody here at the circuit for the final race of the day. We've still got the qualifying after this for the Enduro KA or Enduro car or whatever we're supposed to say. We'll probably cover all of them during the course of tomorrow's race.
Enduro Fords. You get a lot of them, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm assuming we're still on just amended grid. Well, I don't have it. No one's brought it up, but I've seen it online, thankfully. But it was almost like there was a rescinding of a penalty by the looks of it, but we're going to go with what we have. So pole position goes the way of number 17 Will Morris, with number 1 Declan Lee alongside him. Second row, number 5 John Langridge, who has nearly wrapped up this championship, and 42 Callie Atkins. On the third row, 82 Michael Nibbs and 7 Alex Miller, who had a wonderful race in race number 1. And on the fourth row, 29 Paul O'Neill and 33 Dylan Stepney. 26 Drew Fletcher and 19 David Chapman on the fifth row. Row 6, 86 Ethan Lundy and 55 Simon Fleet. On row 7, 66, Jack Hargreaves and 23 Ian Abel. 40 Raymond Worley and 2 John Robinson on row 8. Ninth row is 20 Jude Worley, 222 Jasmine Sherrington, and number 4 Nicholas Stott after the issues earlier at the back of that part. Then we got 2 rows empty and we move to the guest class, and that is actually not just the guest class but the ND as well, and that is Kevin Sylvain in number 62, and then 50 Luke Herbert from the guest class. 14th row, 101 Carl Garnett, the British GT driver, and 76 Brian Chandler. 91 David Newick and 41 Darren Godfrey. 31 Paul Hennin, 444 Jay Coombs on row 8. 17th row is 12 Ben Taylor, 22 Laura O'Connell, and then on the 18th row 221 Andrew Jones. So that is the grid for this, the Miata Trophy decider. But I think we're sort of pretty sure that John Langridge,
yes,
he still needs to just finally sew it up, doesn't he?
Yeah, I honestly don't think that Declan can really do anything. I was trying to figure it out mathematically, and I think he may have done it in that previous race. But John Langridge being John Langridge, he'll want to win this final one just to really put the stamp on it, won't he? Yeah,
absolutely. And, you know, he's just got to keep his powder dry. Certainly doesn't want to get excluded. That's where it'd get messy. A bit different to not finishing. Although it looks like, is there a few gaps? Oh no, that is the correct gap, isn't it? There's more on that second pack than you realise, isn't there? And now it is proper gloomy, isn't it?
I realised that when I went downstairs and a cameraman had their flash on. It was very dark down there, indeed.
You don't get a view of that on the stream particularly well, but they're in position, ready for this 20-minute race. This is the Miata Trophy that has just grown and grown in stature brilliantly over the course of the season, and what a great grid of them we've got out here. The entertainment factor in race number 1 was off the scale, and I expect we'll have more of the same. Green flag has been waved at the back. Jack, we're going to get this underway.
We are indeed. So we've got Will Morris and Declan Lee on the front row. Declan Lee lights up the rear axle. He loses loads of time to John Langridge initially. The second phase of the start was much better, so he does what he can to get over to the inside and defend from John Langridge. Declan Lee is now going to go for the lead, really starting to apply the pressure onto Will Morris. Alex Miller is trying to apply the pressure on towards John Langridge as well. We've got a slowing car further down the order. That's Jasmine Sherrington, a little bit further back. But for the moment, it's Will Morris defending his race 1 win at the start of race 2. Declan Lee, however, really applying that pressure. Then we've got John Langridge, and Paul O'Neill has managed to get through and past Alex Miller up into 4th. He wants another win this season, doesn't he?
Yeah, and of course those two are teammates. I was chatting to Alex Miller in the lunch break, and he was with a big old smile on his face, thoroughly enjoying it. But the main fight that he had in the end, of course, was with Michael Nibbs, and they were hoping for a bit more. It may be slightly fresher rubber on Paul O'Neill this time, because Alex said if he did have, he'd probably Paul O'Neill would have beaten him. Well, he's doing well. He's up into 4th place at the moment. Callie Atkins, number 42, did get a great start again this time, and then was slightly tapped by a few cars coming through behind him, and has got an awful lot of work to do. In fact, where is that car? Down in 7th place.
Make that 6th. So late on the brakes. Dived his way up the inside of Michael Nibbs. So Callie Atkins has picked his way up in towards 6th place now. So it's still Will Morris from Declan Lee from John Langridge. Then we get back to Paul O'Neill, Alex Miller, and the car of Calais Atkins. Michael Nibbs is starting to feel a bit of pressure from Drew Fletcher as well. Just sat behind Drew Fletcher, we've got the number 19. of David Chapman, but it's 3 for the lead. Paul O'Neill and Alex Miller are then effectively bridging the gap back to the next big pack. But John Langridge, he's starting to apply that pressure once again onto the back of Declan Lee.
Yeah, we're going to have that usual thing, aren't we, of so many fights up and down through this blooming grid. I think you summed it up last time, is I don't know where to look.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea. Declan Lee, he might have to go defensive here on the running towards turn 1. So John Langridge is looking to the outside. Declan Lee making the most of his brakes in towards turn 1, manages to keep the car on the road and if anything build out a bit of a gap. So we know he's been working with Brobright brakes. If that's what he's got on the car, they clearly work incredibly well. Declan Lee really starting to pull away from John Langridge, but of course Will Morris, he said in the wet conditions he normally finds himself in the gravel. In the dry, he's really quick, isn't he?
Who was that?
Yeah, Will Morris. He won the previous race. Yeah, he said normally in these wet conditions I find myself digging the car out of the gravel. But he said, I think I've got past those gremlins, so we'll see what we're like later. And in the dry, he's just as quick.
He genuinely is. I mean, and he's doing it again, isn't he? He's gapping the pair, and he's not inherited that gap. He's earned that gap by pulling away from the chasing pair. Helped a little bit, maybe, by those two having their own scrap. They are the top two in the championship. But you've got to say, I don't think they're terrifically slowing each other up. Paul O'Neill and Alex Miller having a whale of a time. And that's what it all was this weekend, was the whole group of them coming here to race these wonderful cars and just have a really good, fun blowout this weekend.
Yeah, they really are. I hope we managed to get Paul O'Neill an interview, and we've got a car off. That's one of the Misty Racing cars. So John Robinson has found himself in the gravel. He does manage to dig himself back out. Brilliant work by him. Brilliant work by the marshals as well. They were so quick on those yellow flags to warn any incoming cars that there is a slightly slower car up the road. So Will Morris, Declan Lee and John Langridge, your top two. The first piece of traffic they will meet will be Laura O'Connell, who's just coming towards the line now. That's one thing we didn't think about. Traffic management again.
Yeah, I think I wanted to just let them not have to think about it for a little while. Let them enjoy the peace for now.
And then I go and ruin it like I just did.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, yes, that's the one. So, Will Morris, again, very sideways into turn 1. We've got a change of surface flag. Presumably that's for the gravel.
Gravel, yeah, I would say.
That John Robinson has brought back onto the circuit. Come on.
And that showed that gravel trap is drying out as well.
Yes.
During the course of today, we've seen it time and time again that it was wet enough that if you got anywhere near it, game over.
Yeah.
Whereas he was able to drag himself back out of it again, wasn't he?
He was indeed, and did so very well. Declan Lee picking his way through and past Laura O'Connell. That was John Langridge doing very much the same. Will Morris got through and past Laura, arguably the quickest. Very clever driving from Laura, putting the car on the outside just to make sure that nobody can work out, or nobody will get slowed down. Somebody just deciding to pick the wrong way, but that is just due to the closing speeds.
It's Nibs, because I was just about to say that Nibs got back past Callie Atkins and is now just about to put a challenge on Alex Miller.
I thought it was David. There is Michael Nibs really starting to push on to Alex Miller now. Late on the brakes, the car squirms at the braking. He does get the car slowed down. There's still a bit of an overlap. David Chapman was the car that we saw go for a bit of an off-track excursion. We're almost going to be 3 wide on the run up towards Drew. It's Alex Miller on the outside, Michael Nibs on the inside. Callie Atkins is watching on, waiting for something to happen a little bit further up the road. The leaders remain as they are as they pick their way through yet more traffic. Alex Miller later on the brakes, dives his way back up the inside, albeit sideways, of Michael Nibs. Callie Atkins is desperate for something to happen to him because he wants to pick up another couple of places, and traffic is playing yet more of a problem. Declan Lee goes to the outside, John Langridge to the inside. Declan Lee once again nails the traffic and has started to pull away from John Langridge as a result.
Yeah, it's quite incredible watching this. I mean, bless her, I was just watching Laura O'Connell getting passed by a whole gaggle, and she was like, I don't really know where to go. I'm just going to stay over here and do what you need to do. But it got very difficult because if the faster cars have suddenly gone 3 wide as they did there, where's the back marker supposed to go?
And especially through the final sector, you can put your car on the outside, but that becomes the inside, and you don't want to chop over the circuit because it makes you unpredictable. You want to stick to your line, and now we're seeing Paul O'Neill, Michael Nibs and Alex Miller all fighting away. So too is Callie Atkins. Paul O'Neill, he must have made a small mistake because he's dropped right the way back into this battle. He's lost out to team owner Alex Miller. Michael Nibs on the outside, and Paul O'Neill just about nibs his way back up the inside. So they remain as they are coming onto the straight. Callie Atkins again, he's sat there thinking, come on, when's my turn to gain a position? Car number 221 has picked up a time penalty, that being Andrew Jones, who's a little bit further down the order. But at the moment, Will Morris with a commanding lead over Declan Lee. Then it's John Langridge. Then it's Declan Lee, John Langridge, Alex Miller, and I'm going to let you guess who's after that.
Well, it looks like it's Nibs, then it's Paul O'Neill, then it's Callie. Is that 26 now involved?
It's Drew Fletcher.
Fletcher is now right on the back of this. Alex Miller's managed to scamper away from that quartet now, which is what it's become with Drew Fletcher now on the back of that. So they're having a cracking fight. Alex Miller's going to be loving that he's managed to get past Paul O'Neill, that he's allowed to have a drive in one of his cars this weekend. And he's determined to put, all he said is, I hope we entertain you in race number 2. I said, Alex, you know you're gonna.
I'm not sure whether Paul O'Neill's got a problem, because Callie Atkins has got through as well, and we very nearly saw Drew Fletcher get through. But from where we've seen Paul O'Neill, effectively where Alex Miller is, that's a lot of time lost over the space of the final or the previous couple of laps. We've still got 12.5 minutes of this race to go. Through comes Will Morris, followed by Declan Lee. The fastest lap of the race is still going the way of Will Morris with that 55.536 set on lap 4. And then it's Declan Lee, 3.2 seconds back, who's only just a half a second ahead of John Langridge. Then it's Alex Miller, Michael Nibs, Callie Atkins, Paul O'Neill, Drew Fletcher, and then we've got David Chapman, Dylan Stepney side by side over the line with the number 76 machine, that being Brian Chandler. He's had a busy day, hasn't he?
Yes, just a little bit. Down the hill goes your champion-elect, the number 5 car of John Langridge. Yeah, you just look and think he's still having a good race, but he's not putting elbows out, is he? Because he doesn't want to make any mistake. I have to point out Morris at the front. He's going to be another one at this race, going to make it 2 out of 2 and 2 out of 2 dominating as well, you have to say, which is very impressive.
One thing to note, Nicholas Stott, obviously we saw Nico have a bit of a coming together in the previous race. He started in 19th place with a repaired car and maybe some slightly dented confidence, because it will do that, having contact with another car to that extent. He's up to 12th place and starting to close in on Dylan Stepney, and having passed Dylan Stepney. So yes. Nico is on an absolute mission up the order.
Yeah, up into 11th now.
Yeah, make that 11th, and he's on the coattails of Nick Chandler, isn't he?
Yeah, and the number 2 car actually took a penalty for that contact.
Brian Chandler. I'm not sure where I got Nick from.
Right. Yeah, the number 2 car, the green car that we saw grass tracking a little bit earlier, John Robinson, actually picked up a penalty for that contact, although I thought I'd seen that it had also been vetoed as well, but there was still an amended grid, so I assume that did stand in some way. But it did dent him, but thankfully not too much on the car, it would appear.
Yes, absolutely. So towards the start-finish line comes Declan Lee and John Langridge over the line as well. Again, very clever driving that from Laura O'Connell in towards turn 1. Through goes Callie Atkins, Paul O'Neill and Drew Fletcher arrive at a similar time. Drew Fletcher gets caught out by some of the backmarker or some of the lappery that he has to conduct. Will Morris, where does he get this lead from?
It's amazing.
It's 4.3 seconds last time
no one
through.
told him it's a one-mate series.
I know. Normally you see that in, as we've seen, self-developed cars. These cars are effectively identical, but somehow Will Morris has got the edge here at Brands Hatch. He is very, very quick indeed. We've seen him be very quick elsewhere, but also had his various challenges, as most do, at other circuits. Clearly, Will Morris and Brands Hatch gel very well together.
Yes, you've got to assume, and you do suddenly hear that drivers will have their favourite circuits. Sometimes, and I've done this many a time, where you've seen that evolve, as in they didn't have a favourite, and then suddenly go, yeah, I think this circuit has just become
That's usually the one they win at, isn't it?
It is. But it's not just where they've got a win. It will be where it's just been one of those weekends that you go, wow, this gelled. And you've got to sit here. I think we had Polk earlier that's got to sit there and go, the Indy circuit at Brands is my favourite. And you've now got Morris here that is just looking like no one can get near him. Yeah,
absolutely. You see it in karting a lot as well, because in karting, you've got obviously a front start, a middle start and a back start, and you see those drivers forever at the top and you think, wow, you've done that from the back in some races as well. But in other races, if you don't click, it is just that. If you don't click with the circuit or you don't click with the car at that circuit, you simply don't have the pace throughout the weekend. It's started, dare I say it, to calm down just a little bit. Alex Miller is still trying to pull away from Michael Nibs. Michael Nibs still, he'll be getting bored of seeing Calais Atkins in his rearview mirror. He's been there for the majority of the race. But now Will Morris's lead up to 5 seconds. Declan Lee and John Langridge only a couple of tenths apart. We've got 8.5 minutes to go. There's still plenty of positions to change, isn't there?
There is. Across the line, you just... Oh, and that number 4 Stott just suddenly lost it in a straight line.
The suspension's failed again, hasn't it?
And that was where he took the hit, wasn't it? And it was that content. Now, that was a real...
Very well done.
Bucking bronco down the start-finish straight, wasn't it? And he's managed to tame it enough to just get himself safely off the circuit.
Yes.
That wall got very close at times there.
Hats off Nicholas Stott. I'd imagine the heart rate is well into triple figures there, but very well done at Nicholas Stott for keeping that car somehow under your spell. Very well done, Nico. If you can see, the recovery staff are trying to get your attention to get you over the barrier and back to safety. But very well done, Nico. The yellow flags are being waved over the start-finish line, so that isn't just no overtaking for position, that's no overtaking even if it is some back marker lappery, and that can catch a couple out. But Declan Lee, as soon as he sees those green lights flashing at him, immediately on the uptake and immediately trying to carve his way through the order.
But did you notice how that's enabled the trio of Miller, Nibbs and Atkins, it's dodgy firm of solicitors, to catch right up on the back of the second and third place fight between Declan Lee and John Langridge?
Yeah, absolutely. They have really started to close in. We could have 5 cars fighting over the final 2 steps of the podium. Will Morris, however, getting caught out behind Jasmine Sherrington as he's completing some of the lappery that he has too. Paul O'Neill chopping his way through and past Jude Worley. Drew Fletcher goes through that same gap. Will Morris's lead, is it extending yet more? He lost time. It was up to 5 seconds. It's down to 4.1. Has he managed to build it back out again?
No, he actually lost 0.9 on that last lap. I was going to say surely he did, because Lee and Langridge got caught up by not being able to overtake back markers because of the yellow flags, which enabled the trio behind them to close in. But Morris has not managed to pull away. But how much of this is now managing it? What are we down to? 6.5 minutes left to go. His margin last time along was just fractionally under that 4 seconds. It's a big old margin.
It is. In a one-make series, normally you sort of go, oh, half a second is quite a big margin, but when you timesing that by 10 in some cases for Will Morris, and
look how close this is from second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. They are absolutely line astern all of a sudden. You can see Alex Miller, the 82 car of Nibbs directly behind him, and directly behind them is Callie Atkins. Well, they are now glued to the back of Declan Lee and John Langridge. What
does John Langridge do? Because he just wants to get this car home, doesn't he? But if Alex Miller, he wants to pick up a podium place, he wants to go home with another trophy. John Langridge, he's going to fight for it. A big look to the inside of Declan Lee. Alex Miller will be watching that happen a little bit further up the road. Michael Nibbs and Callie Atkins still watching on from the sidelines, but not far away at all from picking up another couple of places. There's still a bit more lappery to take place. Clever driving from Laura O'Connell. Declan Lee has started to build a small gap to John Langridge, as I think John Langridge was taken aback as well, just how close Alex Miller, Michael Nibbs and Callie Atkins have got over the past couple of laps.
This is Mazda MX-5 racing at its absolute best. Miata Trophy Racing putting on yet another amazing advert here. There is your last year's champion, the number 1 car of Declan Lee. There is the number 5 car that's going to be inheriting that ready for next season by the looks of it as it stands. But it's not going to be able to go out with a whimper or even an over celebration, because he's going to have to work hard for the final 5 minutes, because the pressure from behind is just incredible.
It really, really is. And Snetterton, I think, was that turning point in the championship. Declan Lee didn't have a great couple of races there. John Langridge capitalised on that and really started to close in. Now we've got a car off at the exit of Druids, and it has found the wall. Unfortunately, we watched that happen almost in slow motion. Exactly who that is, I couldn't pick out as it disappeared behind the wall. I think that could be Jay Coombs, unfortunately. It was quite a slow accident. It looks more like a failure than anything else, unfortunately, for what I think is Jay Coombs.
It is,
So Jay Coombs with a small mistake, but it looks like something all of a sudden failed on the car, and he had no choice but to head towards the wall. Declan Lee still fighting off the attentions of John Langridge, Alex Miller, Michael Nibbs and Callie Atkins. Paul O'Neill is quite a way down the road and was locked in his own little battle with Drew Fletcher and David Chapman, but they've started to spread themselves out fairly equally at the moment. It's all eyes on that battle for second, third, fourth, fifth and now 6th place.
Oh, and I thought that we had a great run from Miller then. I thought he was going to get Langridge, but it's not been possible. The one thing to remember is that Langridge is one of his drivers. He drives for Alex Miller's team, so I don't think that he's under undue pressure. And if anything, he's possibly being a bit of a rear gun here to keep Nibs and Atkins behind him. But if it doesn't matter too much, is he likely to launch a bit of a challenge as long as it's not a risky one that's going to compromise his driver's opportunity to secure this championship?
What do you do if you're Alex Miller? You want to now just play rear gunner, but if you're John Langridge...
I'm going to jump in because Paul O'Neill, Drew Fletcher and directly behind him Chapman, so 29, 26 and 19, just got very close together as they got down towards 30s at the end of the Cooper Straight, thanks to the fact that they were trying to get past the back marker. They're about to come across the start-finish straight now. That was just incredibly tight, and I think there was a little bit of contact between them. Thankfully, that's something we've not seen in this battle for second place backwards.
No, and the good thing is Alex Miller won't have seen it, so Paul O'Neill could just walk away with his arms crossed going, no, that was there when I got in.
Just don't watch the stream back.
That was there when I got in the car. I don't know what you're on about, Alex. So Declan Lee still has John Langridge there, but I think for Declan, he knows now it is going to be a vice champion role for his 2024 campaign in the Miata Trophy, but still has a lot to be proud of. I think the winningest driver of the season, albeit the pool rounds have come back to bite him throughout the year. Will Morris, like you said, does he know this is a spec series?
It's just unbelievable, isn't it? It really is. Drug test that car.
Yes. Is he a guest class driver? I'm not sure how. 6.7 seconds clear at the moment. That speaks volumes about Will Morris's ability here at Brands Hatch in that Miata Trophy car. Declan Lee, John Langridge, Alex Miller, Michael Nibs and Calais Atkins all together. Declan Lee seems to be quicker through sector one. John Langridge reels him back in again towards the latter part of the lap. Alex Miller continuing to play rear gunner because he doesn't want Michael Nibs and he doesn't want Calais Atkins being the thorn in the side of John Langridge. We've got a minute and a half to go, which works out to either, dependent on where Will Morris is, he is just coming towards the start-finish line now, so we will still get 2 more laps out of this.
I thought so when I saw him go past last time. It was just over 2 more. Now, interestingly, I'm seeing windscreen wipers going, but I'm not really seeing anyone else worrying about putting up any umbrellas or anything. But I've certainly seen a handful of the cars, at least, with windscreen wipers going. So it doesn't look wet, does it?
No, not at all. And normally, once again over the line, David Chapman windscreen wiper on Drew Fletcher. You saw it as well.
Yes.
He was having a big look up the inside of Paul O'Neill. We didn't think he was going to make it work. He doesn't on the way in, on the way out absolutely does, and Paul O'Neill loses out of place. So Paul O'Neill down into 8th place, Drew Fletcher up into 7th. Are they going to remain as they were? Yes, they are. The yellow flag still being waved up at Druids due to Jay Coombs' car still being sat stationary on the exit of the hairpin. Declan Lee holding on to 2nd place ahead of John Langridge, Alex Miller, Michael Nibs, Calais Atkins and Paul O'Neill, who is now behind Drew Fletcher in 8th place, and we've still got David Chapman following along. On to the final lap of the race in a few moments' time will come Will Morris.
Yeah, his lead margin is just...
Oh, he's already gone through.
He has, he's gone, because here comes the 2nd place backwards battle, and we've got a challenge there. The 42, Calais Atkins, up past Michael Nibs, but Nibs has got the inside line for Paddock Hill, so he comes back at him. That's the first time, despite how close it is. Oh, and there's a big wiggle from Nibs, and he just suddenly darts left towards the kitty litter, but he's kept his butt in, and well done. He's managed to drag himself back out of the gravel, but he loses that place that he just defended really well from Calais Atkins, and he drops way off the back of that fight now. So 5 became 4.
Yeah, but he's rejoined the circuit a little bit. Oh, there he is. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he'd rejoined up near Paul O'Neill and Drew Fletcher and David Chapman, who are all there still scrapping away. There's a bit of lappery to take place. It's getting very, very busy indeed. And there was a big, big moment for David Chapman. He goes rattling over all of the grass. Paul O'Neill loses out to David Chapman, but Will Morris comes through to take the final win of the year in the 2024 Miata Trophy. Followed by Declan Lee over the line, but John Langridge is your champion. Declan Lee, vice champion ahead of Alex Miller. Calais Atkins over the line to finish in 5th place. Michael Nibs does manage to cross the line in 6th place, followed by Drew Fletcher. And it is Drew Fletcher. Is it going to be Paul O'Neill? No, it will be the number 76 machine in the hands of Brian Chandler, but of course he's a guest driver. Then Paul O'Neill in 9th place, followed then by the number 50 machine, that being Luke Herbert, to round out your top 10.
Yep, absolutely incredible. So Jack now makes a run down there to greet the winners before, obviously, he's hosting their awards this evening that will be here at the circuit as they celebrate the champions of the Miata Trophy 2024. But absolutely incredible. Virtually 9 seconds was the margin for Will Morris in the end over Declan Lee. So really impressive driving, both races from Will Morris, and he's made that 2 out of 2 and dominated perfectly throughout. Declan Lee is in 2nd position in the number 1 car, and your champion John Langridge finishes in 3rd position. So here is the full race results. Will Morris takes the victory. Declan Lee in 2nd, ahead of John Langridge, your 2024 champion. Alex Miller, just an epic race from these guys, in 4th position. 5th, Callie Atkins. Michael Nibbs in 6th place, will be frustrated with the gravelly moment. Drew Fletcher in 7th, ahead of Brian Chandler, who came through at the end. Paul O'Neill looked like he was battling something with that car, and Luke Herbert in the 50 car comes home in 10th position. 11th is David Chapman. Kevin Sylvain comes home in 12th and wins the ND class. Dylan Stepney, Ian Abel, Ben Taylor in 15th, Simon Fleet in 16th, Ethan Lundy 17th place, 18th was Ray Worley, Jack Hargreaves in 19th, 20th was David Newick. 21st, John Robinson. Carl Garnett comes home in 22nd, ahead of Paul Hennin, Darren Godfrey, Jasmine Sheraton, Jude Worley, Andrew Jones. 22, Laura O'Connell in 28th place. Then Jay Coombs and Nicholas Stott that we lost with, I think both of them looked like potentially fairly similar issues that put them out. Nicholas Stott did a great job to tame the beast as he went down the start-finish straight and keep it out of the wall. It looked a rather frightful moment. But down there, I think we've got some race winners for Jack to interview.
We do indeed. And we'll have to go with Declan Lee first because he's the only one with his helmet off. Declan, John was the thorn in your side there, wasn't he? He was not letting you get away.
Like I said to you before, Jack, it's all about not looking in the rearview mirror, looking forwards and trying to catch Will. Although that was very difficult, he's on new tyres, but that's my only driver excuse. He drove fantastically then, unbelievable. I just really struggled to keep pace with him, and it was about maintaining the gap behind. But like I say, always look forwards in life. Don't look in the past, don't look in the mirror. And thanks for Pro Bike Brakes and Covers for getting me standing here in 2nd place, but hopefully with some Pro Bike Brakes we'll be on 1st for next season.
And obviously, if we are going to see you back next year, surely that number 1 has got to make a return, right?
I hope so, although I'm going to have to hand my trophy over to John Landridge later this evening, but I'm probably not the champion anymore, so I'll go back to number 12, but I'm now 2nd, I have been 1st, so number 12 is the perfect number for me.
Great stuff. We'll look forward to seeing more of you. See you later, Declan. Congratulations. We've got John Langridge. Sorry, we're going to have to work our way in, or John will work your way out. There's no question mark or provisional about that anymore, is there?
Thankfully not. No, that was a really good race. Really enjoyed it. It's a good job Will wasn't here all year because he was rapid. But it was good fun. I was shadowing Declan and we had some fun and games in amongst the traffic and played with ourselves. Once or twice tried to overtake him, but I wasn't really fully committed because I didn't need to be. But I bet it looked really good because we had Alex and a couple of others behind us, so it was a nice little train going round.
And you had the boss in the rearview mirror. That must have been... What were you thinking there? Were you thinking, oh no, he'll leave me to it, or oh God, that's the boss, he's going to go for it?
Initially, I was thinking about his position in the championship because he could get 3rd. Yeah. So we knew who we were against, or he was against Nick Stott for that. And then when I saw Nick parked up, unfortunately, at the top there, I don't know what happened to him, but I thought, right, well, I can race Alex properly now. I don't need to. It was a bit awkward with the yellow flag at the top. I hope Jay's okay because I saw him go off. It looked like a bit of a hit.
Yeah, Nico had a suspension failure at quite high speed along the start-finish straight. He managed to collect it, and he didn't touch anything aside from the grass. But this car's going to look brilliant with the number 1 next year. Surely we've got to see you back.
I hope so. It'd be really good. I love the championship. I think it's really well run. It's very convenient for us as well, being a one-day thing. It really helps at home and everything else. So, yeah, I'd love to be back.
Amazing, great stuff. Congratulations, John, the 2024 champion. We should have Will Morris. There he is. Will Morris is over here. If we race at Brands Hatch all of next year, I'd imagine we'll see quite a lot of you.
Yes, I think so. That would be really good. Yeah, it's been a stellar day. Apart from not having pole position, but 2 wins back-to-back, yeah, I'll take that.
Is that a good confidence booster to see more of you and keep that motivation high for next year?
Definitely, yeah. No, I'd definitely like to come back and do the whole season. That would be great. But we'll see. Obviously, budget and everything in between. Just like to say a huge thanks to my dad for prepping the car and Hills Motorsport as well.
Amazing, great stuff. Thank you so much, Will. Congratulations on 2 wins today. I was hoping we will grab him. We'll grab Aidan Hills. Not even driving this weekend, team manager of Aidan. You've had a busy weekend, obviously. What was it, 11 cars you arrived with today? Something like that. It was. Do you know how many cars? 14 cars you arrived with today. What does it take to be competitive in this championship? Because you've obviously got hands-on experience driving the Mazdas, but Hills Motorsport, a regular appearance at the top.
A great team, you know. It's nothing really to do with me. I mean, attention to detail with the cars and the setup, but all the people we've got working behind the scenes and everyone involved with Hills Motorsport. You know, we've got a lot of people. I think we've got 10 or 12 staff members here this weekend. So my name's on the shirt, but it's definitely nothing to do with me. You know, I just send the invoices and tighten the wheels up occasionally. So, yeah, credit to the boys as well. You know, Will and Deck have had a great weekend. We've had 2 1-2s, and I think we only lost 2 races this year in total. So it's a great season in the Miata Trophy. Shame we didn't win the championship. Congratulations to John. He really deserved it. With everything, and yeah, we had a really good day, and although it's been really busy, it's nice to put people through their first races as well and get people to get their signatures, and that's a lot of what we do at Hills Motorsport, as well as just winning races.
Great stuff. Congratulations, Aidan. Brilliant work this season. In the meantime, I think that is all we've got time for here at Brands Hatch today. Please do join us again tomorrow as we've got the IndyCar 500. But from Chris Dawes up in the commentary tower, myself, Jack Werrell, down here in the pit lane, it's been our absolute pleasure. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye. So that was the Fly Street.